Good morning, everyone. It's Rafegal playing some Lufia 2 Ancient Cave. We're fetching more iris treasures, and we are up to 3 so far. Still got quite a ways to go. Let's go ahead and I think we're gonna do traditional party for this one. So we'll do traditional party for the Ancient Cave. The 2 strongest physical characters, and then Artie and Maxim. Now, this is a continuation of our Iris run, so we do have a bunch of stuff already. And by a bunch of stuff, I really just mean we have like a bazillion sky swords and a few other things. Yeah, Spider Jewels in the front. I think we want Catfish Jewel there. There we go. So, if you have not seen this before, Ancient Cave is a 99-floor dungeon randomly generated with monsters that are monsters and treasures that kind of scale up as you go, which concludes in a boss battle against the Master Jelly, which is a 3-round fight against an enemy with 10,000 hit points. And it's basically a test of how much damage you can dish out in that time. It's very challenging. It doesn't actually fight back at all, it's just how much damage you can deal it. We are not, at this point, trying to do that. We are just trying to make our way down as far as we can and hopefully find an iris treasure along the way. The iris treasures are unique to the cave, and they are randomly spread throughout. I think there are 8 of them, and they can appear in any red chest throughout the dungeon. And they are one of the only types of items that can come out with you, along with those really powerful weapons and armor that we found, which are found in blue chests instead. I got really excited for a second, and then I remembered that the glass cap in this game is not the same as the glass cap in Final Fantasy IV, and is therefore not good. I mean, it is a helmet. There's a glitch that makes it so that hats and other, like, basically items that are armor but aren't actual armor, so like helmets and gloves and stuff, are not found after, I believe it's floor 11. So getting anything for those slots is good. We have a healing panel that we found in that first room there, one of the downsides with the early part of this game is as you gain levels, your max HP goes up, but your current HP does not. And you don't start with any healing, and your characters don't naturally learn any magic. So, without a healing spell, we're not actually going to be able to get our health up to max very easily. So, I'm taking this opportunity while we've got that free healing tile to basically make sure we've killed all the enemies on the floor. Although I'm not sure where the stairs are now. Oh. That would do it. So generally we wouldn't feel the need to do too much in the way of fighting here, but with our powerful weapons and the fact that we're not going super deep, I feel like it's fine to just be a little bit more aggressive early on. And that frog is a perfect opportunity to mention. The enemies on the overworld always move in patterns. To some extent. Each enemy moves in a different way, and they move only when you move. So, in situations like this, we can kind of carefully time our attack, or our movement, so that we don't get an encounter with them. There are other enemies where we can plan so that we can get a back attack, which will give us our surprise round. And most importantly, we can just make sure we don't get a back attack against us. One of the items we just picked up was the Sir Custom 11, which is a it's actually named after a kind of guitar that the developer was a big fan of. I am not 100% sure, but I believe somebody had mentioned that it was not actually intended to be in the game. It's more like an Easter egg thing. And I think it's because of that same bug as the hat and stuff. It just kind of shows up sometimes as an item, even though it was supposed to be just was not supposed to be in the final product, basically. It was like a placeholder name or something. I'm not sure what that sound was. downstairs neighbors doing something. That's actually a really good find. So that boosts intelligence and defense. Yeah, we'll give that to Artie. Again, blue chests are the only items you can take with you, so the nice thing with that is that means we have that for all of our subsequent runs as long as we can make it happen. In order to get out, you have to get down to at least floor 20 and find an item called Providence, which will let you warp out. At that point, it'll reset you back to level 1. You lose all of your red chest items except Iris treasures, and you get to keep all of your blue chest items. Which again is how we got a bunch of crazy powerful weapons to start with. We've gotten some decent levels already. We're going to be a little bit ahead of the curve, which is good. That's a great find. Stronger is one of the healing spells. It is the second tier healing spell, which is actually probably one of the best ones because it gives you a lot of flexibility between being relatively cheap and also still powerful enough that it does something. Also, first action by horse track. First action by Flash, our capsule monster. There are 7 capsule monsters. They act on AI and are kind of the like support pets of the game. Flash is the light element and is a lot of healing stuff, which, as I mentioned, you don't get healing spells automatically, so for these short runs where we're being a little more aggressive, having Flash is good. Now, I've paused here because, as you can see there, that corner, the treasure chest, is discolored. It's also against the wall, which is not traditionally where treasure chests are placed. This is a mimic, so we are going to avoid it because mimics have a very powerful physical attack. It's also a good reminder for me that we need to be careful on this floor before we just rush towards something, because once mimics see you, they will chase you. I believe that puts us at level 9, which is our goal for this region. Destroy is potentially useful. It's a instant death spell, which are not great, but they're not bad, and if you single target them, they have an okay chance of actually hitting. Okay, B8. Deadly Rod. If we end up getting enough stuff to go actually down into the... Wow. Okay. We've just got our 2 deadlies, which is actually a good start if we end up wanting to do a full run. Now, as I mentioned, that's not our primary intention with this. right now the main goal is just to get iris treasures, but if we find if we don't find any iris treasures early, I would love to go deeper, and deadly weapons are a great way to do that. Now, we're not going to equip them right away because they are cursed. Deadly weapons, again, like Destroy, have that instant death chance, which in this game is actually very effective. So especially as you are not going to be able to keep up very well once you get into higher levels, and you're trying to manage your resources, having a way to just instantly kill enemies is very powerful. Primarily, we want to be able to have Artie do that, because he has a low physical attack already, and he's very fast. So he's going to go first. Gold band, I don't even know what that is. I assume it must be another head item, which is why I don't know what it is. Because again, they don't show up after a certain floor. This is also a great opportunity to point out the spelling mistakes in this game, which are awesome and hilarious, such as, in this case, the kobolds, which are a reference to, or which are supposed to be kobolds. There's a lot of other examples like that. The basic the basic gist of it comes down to this was not translated by people who spoke both languages. This was translated phonetically. So there are a lot of misspellings. Like, instead of a lich, it's leech. Golems are gorums. Okay, these enemies are cubes, or cores. They are the equivalent of metal slimes for this game. They have almost no magic resistance, so it's very effective to use magic against them, and then you get a bunch of XP. And in this case, we are already pretty close to where we want to be. But if we can get a few extra kills in before they run away, we're not going to turn it down, and we just got to the first floor with them. So there's a chance we're going to find more. The bar that I had mentioned, where we want to be at least level 9, is after we've dealt with red cores. So anything above that, we are getting extra, which is awesome. Okay. More cores, wow. Must be my birthday or something. By the way, if you see me repositioning targets, the main reason is because there is a front and back row. It's very subtle. So I always want to target front row characters before I move on to the back row, otherwise they take half damage. Obviously that's a problem, so we want the faster characters to attack the front line, and then the slower characters can then clean up the back line. I'll also be trying to, as we get higher level, redistribute based on both the order and also how hard characters hit. So for example, Artie, again, is the weakest character generally speaking, physically. So we will often have him pair with another character, and then have the harder hitting characters. We'll make sure that they single target so they don't end up like finishing off an enemy that was very close to dead already. Don't want to get into a fight with that little ball of light. Yeah, I figured. At this point, we were lucky to get as many as we did, especially given how high our levels are. They tend to run away more based on how high level you are. That's the fight I just said we didn't want to get in. Okay, we got lucky. That's the reason that it's that flash spell. It's not super powerful or anything like that, but when they go first, and there are 4 of them, there is a chance that you just straight up, seriously, 2 stayed. Yeah, there's a chance that all 4 of them use flash before you get to act. And now we've got some levels, so it's less terrifying. And I just ran into it again. But they do, it adds up, and they do a bit of damage. Floor 13. Next couple floors, there's no real milestones, just wispies to look out for. Again, they're not the end of the world by any means. The main reason that we want to note them is because you want to keep an eye out for them. If you aren't in as good a shape, if you don't have healing spells, the fact that they can generally get in and all attack before you get a chance to do anything matters. Okay, 15. Terror Ball is another instant death effect. It's a single-use item, and it has a lower % chance than some of our stuff we've got. It's not bad. Very good against like holy enemies also, which is nice. Stuff that's weak against dark seems to have a less tolerance for instant death. Okay. That was a Dakar blade. We're actually shaping up pretty well so far. What the heck is going on here? I think that guy's gonna just stay there. So we'll probably have to go through him. Now, obviously, there's still a long way to go. But Dakar Blade is one of the most important items for killing the Master Jelly. And we just got it on the first floor possible. The reason it's so good is because it has a special attack that can reduce half of an enemy's hit points in one hit. Now, when the boss has 10,000 hit points, that is gonna do a lot of damage. It's only equipable by Dakar. We're not going to use it right now because it's actually not better than the weapons we've got. It's just better against that boss. All the goodies. Trick is an attack up, which means that if you buff with that at the beginning of a fight, you're going to do more damage. And that does include things like when you're doing percentage-based damage with that Dakar blade that I just got. Yeah. The magic we've gotten so far has been very good. A good variety, and we've got a high-level spell, we've got a couple lower-level spells. Generally, we're not going to be very reliant on magic. Given that MP does not fill up automatically when you level up or anything, and there's no, well, we found that HP tile, there are no MP tiles. So any magic that we get is going to be strictly from items. No, I haven't gone in the menu for a little while, and we do have a good start to this stuff. Let's see, 18. Technically, these fighter orcs, which are these guys, have a chance at a good drop. I'm a little tempted to try a few of these, and that'll be leveling as well. So they can drop an item called a power board, and these things are literally just like that life potion I just used. It's a small permanent boost to attack, whichever character we end up using as a attacker, so most likely Guy, we will possibly want that. Anything that gives you boosts to attack is valuable when you're dealing with the jelly. And you can see there, Artie, now part of that's because of elemental affinity. Artie does fire damage with that spark staff. And those enemies are stronger against fire. Not fireworks this time, unfortunately. The two main stats that we're generally going to be concerned with are attack and agility. A lot of stuff is going to hit so hard that your defense does not matter. So instead, we end up trying to just be fast enough to get out before enemies and hit hard enough that it doesn't matter how much damage they do. Again, aiming for back attacks and stuff like that to just really emphasize that. Almost to Providence already. No Iris treasures yet, which is not uncommon, especially at this point. With 3 of them out of the pool, the chance of finding an Iris treasure is much lower right now. Those guys we don't want to deal with. Wingers are yet another enemy that are very fast and potentially can make multiple attacks. Generally speaking, when we're dealing with enemies, the things that make me nervous, the things that we're trying to avoid, are enemies that hit multiple times, enemies that do certain status effects, like confusion, that are very fast especially, and enemies that hit your entire party at once. I suppose also instant death effects are particularly nasty. So our kind of goal with picking what fights to do, ideally we want to be fighting vanilla enemies. We want stuff that just does 1 attack per turn, that does big, or that does not even big ideally, but that does physical hits, and that is relatively slow, and very importantly that only gets 1 action per turn, because that is a thing that enemies can get multiple attacks. Given the resource that your healing items, your MP, stuff like that, every time you get hit, it matters. So at the point we're at, it's not a huge deal, but there are very much enemies like, I mean, that guy's not the really bad one, but it's not a good one. A lot of Gorom enemies, a lot of the bees, ninjas, mimics. All of those enemy types have things that hit multiple, either multiple times or multiple allies, and that's why we avoid them. I mean, generally speaking, we're just avoiding fights, unless we need to. There's our Providence. I don't feel like we've gotten anything that warrants using it yet. The only item we've gotten so far is the water jewel. These are gross, so we're gonna skip that section. We don't need to full clear every floor. We can make the call of how deep we want to go on each one. So in situations like that, where it's like, oh, hey, I can go that way, but there are bees. Bees move very erratically, so it's real easy to accidentally get into a fight with them. Nice. We'll take it. Okay. This is what we like to call a party room. Party rooms are when lots of enemies and treasure chests get generated in the same room. And so everything ends up very tight together. That was very close. That was one square off being a back attack. So we go down. That guy's gonna get out of the way because he goes at a 90-degree angle from us. We're gonna move over so that bee can't attack. Then we're gonna slide over again just to be safe. This bee, I think we're just gonna end up having to fight. So I think rather than continuing to run away, we're gonna do this. Once again, very fast. The big thing we're worrying about here is that they have a chance to do paralysis or poison. And paralysis and poison are both very nasty status effects, especially if they apply to multiple characters. So with teleporting enemies in these areas, we do need to be careful because even if we can't see something immediately, even if something's not immediately right next to us, teleportation means that they can end up being next to us. Even if they're currently, like, off the screen. Ugh. These things hit like a ton of bricks. Gotta get my MP situation straightened out. Okay. $27. Still nothing great to look for here. This is kind of a boring mid-tier to some extent. Like we'd be looking for, in this case, iris treasures, car blades, and a few other things that have, popped up. But for the most part, this is kind of in the less immediate concerns. We're going to be getting to 29, which is going to have another scary enemy type. Kind of just end your run instantaneously in the wrong situations. Valor's good. Valor is a healing spell. Stuck in the door, it looks like. Those two are currently equipped with fire weapons, which is why they did so little. Eight. Does introduce evil fish, which are the little octopus guys that were running around. They can hit pretty hard. Zerk blade. We probably want to make sure we get rid of that here, which is a good opportunity to talk about capsule monster feeding. So, the way that you power up your capsule monsters is by feeding them. And in this case, we are feeding it equipment. When you fill its grow bar, it will change into its second form. Which will give it more powerful attacks, more moves, etc. So we're basically using this to clean our inventory out. And part of the reason that we are doing this is because the Berserk Blade that we picked up is cursed. Unlike these other curse items that have a low power level, the Deadly Rod and Fatal Pick actually have very low physical attack. The Berserk Blade is the opposite. It is a high power weapon, but it is also cursed. So you can't take it off once you put it on. Hey, a blue chest. So once again, chests cannot be up against the wall, which introduces our other menace that I mentioned, the blue mimic. Blue mimics are extremely overpowered for the area that they're found. They are very strong enemies. And if you end up in a situation where you have to fight one, it can be really bad. Like that. Gosh. Okay. So the good news is they don't chase you. The bad news is that because of that, you cannot move them out of the way. So the best strategy here is probably going to be to escape. And actually, what we're going to do is move the car into the guy into the back row. The reason we're doing that is because they're more likely to survive so that we can get our escape. And I do want to make sure they're maxed. So the things I was saying earlier, these are enemies that hit very hard and that can hit your whole party at once. Now, in situations like this where there's just two of them, it's not as bad. But there's no guarantee. There can be up to 4. We got lucky. And if that first fight we did, if all 3 of them had used Frenzy, that would have been game over. Houlihan's, or Headless Horseman. Awesome. Yeah, these guys aren't too bad. That is another blue mimic. The coloration is just slightly different. The way that the shine falls on is slightly wrong. So, hey, there's our Irish treasure. honestly, we're probably at a decent spot here. There is a part of me, given how far we're at currently, that wants to keep going. But our goal is to get the Iris treasures, and I don't want to risk losing it now that we've got one. Let's see if we can, how many blue cores we get here, and that can be our determining factor, I suppose. Blue cores, we want to get up to, never mind, we're way over leveled already. Still again. Honestly, this run's going really well. I think what I'm gonna do is end this video, but not actually warp out yet. Like I said, I feel like we're at a decent stopping spot. I'm generally not a huge fan of breaking these runs up, just because it can be hard to pace. Like, we never know when or how long a run is going to be. It's the downside of these type of games, is that they're great for streaming because you can always just die and start another one up. They're not always great for recorded media like this, because if you die and you are making a new video for each starting point, it can be problematic. That's a bit rough. I didn't realize these guys were that powerful. You know, sometimes the game makes the decision for you. We probably could have made it further than that, but that was a mistake, and feels like a good exit point. So we're gonna go ahead and turn in our Iris Tiara. We get our new water jewel that we got for the next run. And we'll pick back up next time. Hopefully you're enjoying. If you are, please give me a like and subscribe. Check out the other content of the channel. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. And as always, have a good one. We'll catch you next time.